All right, we are going to call this council public forum to session. Today is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025 at 6:00 p.m. And before we get going, for the record, I want to disclose a potential conflict of interest. My husband is a City of St. Helens police officer. I'm not biased. I'm confident I can act objectively in the best interest of the city. And that moves us to number one, presentation on proposed site for police station. And also to mention that we're going to do the presentation first, and then we'll do the public comments. It'll be 3 minutes per person after we do the presentation. That way, if there's any questions that come up during that you'll be able to ask that. So with that, we'll move over to the presentation.
All right, thank you, Mayor. With us today, we have David Lintz, which has been our project manager for the construction of our police station, and he's here today to go over the site selection process that we've, the city's, anybody who's been following this project, this project has moved around a bit, and we're going to go through and look at all of different sites, the pros and cons about those sites, and then the evaluation criteria, and then how we landed on the property that we're proposing to. It's a public forum. People have the opportunity to comments, and hopefully we have answers for you. Take the reins, Dave.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Dave Lintz. I'm a senior project manager and project executive at OJAC, a multi-faceted engineering and project management company. I had my own company for 15 years. I'm an architect, and I have been doing this for almost all clients my whole career, acting as an owner's rep. So I hire architects and contractors to go through the land use process and get these projects built, and everybody moved in. So the task here was to take a look at the several sites that have been involved in the project. When I came to the job, we were working to build this project on the Castro Road site. If you know the history, there were some contentious issues about water and floodplain and so on. So the project got appealed and we pulled off that site, and now we're looking at several other sites. The combined council and city council asked us to take a look at the Gable Road site. And we went down the road a little bit on that, and then I think sort of re-look at the whole thing. I think the previous slide would be best to go to. So you can see it up there, and I'll explain it to you so if you can't see it. But what we have here is a whole list of criteria about how the site would work for the city. And then in each of the commission mayors and each of the commissioner and council's columns have a rating for those criteria. And so each person rated them, and the total of the rating is 288 points for the 1771 Columbia site and 202 points for the Gable Road site. So before we go into the matrix, let's go look at each of the sites. If you could just page down a second. So the Gable Road site is number 4 in the far left. And then there we go. And then the number 1 site is, of course, the Columbia Road site. You're probably all driven by it hundreds of times. Number 2 is the existing police station. Number 3 is the old Castro Road site, which is out of contention. So next slide, please. This is the Columbia site with the, we got so far on Castro Road that we've designed a building and have that, and this is the look of the building here on this poster here. And we have the drawings for that, so without spending more money, we're going to reuse those drawings, but we have to put them on a site. So this is those that particular floor plan in blue, situated on the 1771 site, and what it would take then for parking and secure parking for police and so on and so forth. Next slide. This is the existing police station site on the right side. This is the on the left side is the makeup of the pieces of ground that are used for that site. On the right side you can see in green and blue, building floor plan situated in two directions. Blue doesn't work because it pinches here in the corner. You can't see it, pinches in the corner of the site, but the green one would work, but it also needs to involve the parcel in orange to the north or toward Columbia Boulevard. And that would require the purchase of that property. We'll explain that in a second. Next slide. This is the existing sheriff's office. And the parcel of ground that could work is the unused piece in front. And the building is placed on the right side of that slide in blue. Out in front. This site's complication is that yellow dotted line, which is the 500-year floodplain, which we ran into problems with Castle Roadside over that issue. The blue line in the back is the 100-year floodplain, which isn't really involved at all. This is the Gable Road site with the existing floor plan positioned on it, showing all the secure parking at the this is back to the south side, public parking in front, and then a bunch of excess land that would be resold or used for other purposes, but it's not a contentious site. Maybe let's go back to the matrix of cost if you could. Next, there we go. So we've got a rough estimate for the whole project at $11.4 million. And what you see here on the top lines, you can see it. The Gable Road side is the next column. And he's calling him greenfield site. We will go find another piece of ground. The fourth column is the existing police site. And the last column is the sheriff's site. So we compared them all to try to see how they compare against the Columbia site. So the baseline costs are listed in the Columbia site. The hard cost at the top is the construction, professional services, is consultants and so on. And city costs are full collection of costs of the architect and other geotechnical and survey and things like that. The Gable Road site is judged to be more expensive because it requires a longer land use process because it requires a zone change, a plan change, there's lots of complications about it. The new greenfield site, we'd assume you take a site there should be, similar zoning, but it would be say 6 months out to finish and kind of piece of property up. So there's an inflation there of 6%. And the existing fleet would be the same, sheriff's site would be the same. For greenfield site, we've added some dollars because of potential, no matter where we are, probably in half of the street. Second thing you potentially run into here because there's extensive rock, is possible rock excavation and maybe some issues with grade. So we'd have some cut and fill. So there's a little bit of money added for that. On the lease site, on the Gable Road site and the police site would both require some demo. But the Gable Road estimate has money included there, so we had to add some money to that. Professional services are basically the same all the way across, we'll only those numbers the same for city costs. The existing building, the existing police site is the most complicated of all, if you can believe it. Because we have to purchase that land in the north end, it's got a building on it, and it's not owned by the city. But with the new size of the police station, we need more parking, so we'd have to add that on to the site.
I'll add, it's been recently purchased by someone who's now actively rehabbing it too. But I think the likelihood of the city being able to get is probably less now than it was.
Not only is it excused itself because of cost, but that complication itself would take it out of running. So the bottom line is the Columbia Road site comes out at the lowest cost of all to the city by these red margin differences. $995,000. Gable Road site more expensive. $650,000 for a new greenfield site. It was a rough thing, you know. About 2 million more for the existing police station. Because of the things we'd have to do, demo buildings. It needs a new design because the building doesn't really fit on that footprint. And we'd have to throw some of the money with some modifications to the design, but not fully, brand new. That's the 500,000 that's there. And then about 660,000 for the sheriff's site, however, it has the floodplain issues, which could be challenged and, there's 500-year floodplain is 500-year line is it can happen. We've seen it happen. So contentious site. So bottom line is roughly 15.8, which we haven't, we're budgeting right now is the Columbia Road site. So the city is engaged in trying to buy that and get us to restart the project. Any other thing you want me to cover there you can think of?
Council have any questions?
Does anyone else have a question?
Pricing, is that current?
It's slightly 4 or 5 months old, because we got stopped on Castor. As soon as we got stopped on Castor, we were looking at the Columbia site and the Gable Road site. So, 3, 4, 5 months old. But I asked our contractor, which we'd gone through the selection process for a contractor, and so I asked them to update their pricing. And that's why we call it the 3.2 estimate. Just taking only local materials or at least regional materials. And the very best.
The cost here, and it's always more than when we first talk about it.
It's gonna continue to grow.
It's continue to grow like everything does. But
A key issue about cost, and I'm working with another jurisdiction over a fire station. Over 1,000 years, and the fact is, it's well overdue. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You put it off, you have 2 risks, the prior price and the fact that you won't be operating in a station. If that happens, but this new design is to, make sure that that essential facility is standing after subduction earthquake.
One of my concerns is the fact that we've already paid or lost 685,000 approximately in Armitage fees, and that money is continued to dwindle. So by not building over the last 5 years, basically, from my understanding, and I'm gonna count on our city administrator, correct me if I'm wrong, that the interest that we earned on the bonds has basically, it's null and void. It's gone. We've wasted 685,000 by not building this police department.
Sooner.
Correct. Am I correct or?
Yeah, you're correct. The interest was covering debt, or really close to covering the debt for quite some time, and then just due to the delay and the promises to the bondholders that we had to start giving them return on their investments, so that rather than an interest, it's no longer used to cover the debt.
And the fees, the arbitrage fees.
Yeah, it's going to the fees.
Right.
So the city's been negotiating with the site owner and is getting very close to having a deal. And so if there's ever a time to start, it's right now.
Yeah, and I
In
echo,
fact, if there's ever a time to start, it's a year ago.
yeah, 4 years ago
Yeah.
when, yeah, but I echo council. Yeah, I echo Council President Chilton that, we've looked at these numbers. We appreciate you've come in a couple times to talk, but we all collectively felt like it was really important to do this public forum to get feedback from citizens as well that wanted to provide any input. So.
I want to hear from them. Are you complete with this part?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so, are you good, John?
Yeah.
Okay, so then, we are gonna, allow time for visitor comments. This comment period is essential part of local government meetings. Each person has 3 minutes or less to speak. The city council will take information into consideration. So when you come up, if you could state your name for the record and keep it 3 minutes or less, please.
You can ask questions and make comments as well. So
Yeah.
if there's some question that you have.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Good point.
Well, as usual, Brady Prime,
as usual, you were doing things ass backwards. This forum should have been the first thing that you did. We all know you've already had a special session, you've already made the decision, and you're already trying to buy the property. So why are we here pretending like, oh, well, ask us questions, we'll make a decision and we'll take your decisions under, you've made the decision to build it. So the pretending of acting like this is a public forum and you're gonna get input is ridiculous. Just say, yeah, we've already made the decision, because you have. You all know that you have, and it's disingenuous to act like you haven't. And it really annoys me. Just tell the truth, be honest, and say we've made the decision and we don't give a shit what anyone say. This should have been the first step. This should have been the first step. And the act that you're pretending it. Secondly, we can't afford the station. You are sitting there now talking about, oh, literally lying when I came forward and said, we're gonna have a $25 fee on the water bill. No, we don't know where that comes from. I don't know who's spreading that rumor. Well, that rumor is being spread by your finance director because it's in your budget. And actually, it is a lie. It's not going to be a $25 fee. It's going to be an additional $50 onto the $10. So we're going to add $60 to your water bill. And now you're sitting there talking about building a police station that we can't afford. We simply can't afford it. So to me, this whole thing needs to wait. You need to get your house in order. You need to get your budget in order. We have a $9.3 million budget. $93 million budget rather. If you had done just modest cuts, 5% over the last 2 years, which is why I voted no on the budget 2 years ago, you'd have almost $10 million sitting in a reserve fund. You could have done 2 or 3% and had money sitting there. Instead, you're now coming to the voters and asking them for a $50, not quite, it's going to be a little under 50, but almost a $50 increase on your water bill in addition to 10. There are a lot of people struggling right now, and you're going to have a $60 bill on your water bill, not for water, pay for a police station that we cannot afford.
Public comments? State your record.
Jenny Gilbert, resident. I agree with Brady. This is very disingenuous. Seems like it was a public hearing for people to come talk about their thoughts on the police department, and you've clearly already decided. So this is, a habitual, at this point, you guys just deciding and not letting the people that elected you make decisions. I'm just gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna approve the finances on this. I think that we need a police department. We needed it 7 years ago. I think that we need to make it fit on the property that is existing right now. I think we need to demo that building. Put a department on there that fits. We already, water, sewer, everything's there, power. And I think that we need to take the rec center and put that as a substation. We could move them over there. It's an additional building, they can grow. And this could all be done like this. We can get it done, stop talking about it. What's happening to the taxpayers and our citizens is shameful at this point. And it's kind of like, let them eat cake, who cares? That's not how this should be run, okay? Obviously, there was really bad planning for years and years, and we're just going to ignore it and ask, the public to pay for your mistakes and the council before your mistakes. I don't think so. I think we need to go with the easiest option. And I know that there's some issues with demoing the building, but I don't see, it's not Walmart. You're not going to have 20 people come into the police department at a time. The parking, there's already a lot back there. Let's put privacy fencing for the personal vehicles. Their vehicles, they take them home anyway. They're not going to be parked there. I know that was possibly sunset clause when we talked to Greenway about that. So maybe they'll be parking the vehicles there again. I don't know. I think that it's a good location. I think Castor Road was better, but I think that's a good location. And I'm all for having a substation. We'd have somebody on the other side of the highway. We'd have them here. There's room for growth. 5 years from now, maybe when we can actually hire officers and can expand, it's going to be a while. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. Thank you, guys.
Jennifer Shoemaker. My only question is, during the city's due diligence, has there been any environmental work done on the site or so that we don't have any environmental surprises?
There's been a phase one analysis. Yeah. There's actually been two. There's one done a few years ago by the owner, and then we did another one.
Thank you.
Is there anyone online?
Any of the like comments, they weren't raised in questions, but do we even want?
I mean, at the beginning of this project, we've had a pretty extensive site selection process. There was 24 or 26 meetings that we had to evaluate the 10 sites that we distilled down to a handful of sites. 1771 came out on top of that process. It was the number one site out of all of those meetings. Council at that time decided to move forward on Castor Road just because of the presumed ease of build and the land cost, things of that nature. The rest of it just kind of spun around since.
So we're talking all about professional fees in relation to the design of the building, because the current building would not work where the current police station is, right? So then we would be also looking, how much have we, like 750,000 on
500.
professional service fees or something?
We roughed that number out to be about 500,000 to modify the existing floor plans that the construction documents are done, ready to permit. But they have to be modified to fit that site as well as purchase the site that has just been purchased. So you're gonna have to talk that person out of that thing. I mean, the site doesn't fit the size of building that's needed.
And the costs associated with moving the police department to another building that's not set up for a police station. So there's just a lot of costs in that plan.
Was there something also with the rec center not being like seismic sound for police station or something of the sort also? for
We
current-
did put some money into this number for the relocation of police. Just because they have to, lease something else for, 9 months to a year. While they're out of the existing station. If you build in a new site, they can stay where they are and then move over without incurring that cost. But that's the 400,000 that's in the bottom, on the bottom.
Clarify, when you say rec center, and Jenny, you said rec center too, but I think you're referring to the community center on
Yes,
Gable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not Fair Building.
Okay, okay. So initially, way back when, that was my thought too, is that we already own the property. Why don't we just remodel that building? And that came up that again, there's certain specifications for public safety facilities that it wouldn't meet. It would be, you'd have to demo the building and just start over. And so, I don't know, I still like that site, but because we already own it.
Been chasing the architecture for this, and like has to be fit. If it doesn't fit, we can't use it, and we'll throw that money away. We spent a lot of money chasing to make that building fit different places. I've seen it before. It's like you're running this horse into the ground, and it's like, what do you have for it? Nothing right now. So maybe we need to look at another way to go.
So also where the current police station is, John, you'll need to correct me if I'm wrong. But the intent would also be purchasing the property on Columbia. So the Columbia site, the property that the current police station was on would be sold, and that money then would be paid towards this debt for the police station.
That was one of the funding considerations, that the sale of that property would go towards a new facility.
Right,
yes.
so not towards the waterfront, not towards anything, it would go towards the actual police station.
Yes.
I just want to be clear, because
They've designed this as, it's pretty much the Cadillac for a police station, because they do these all around. Same footprint, I think, for other cities and such. It wasn't specific for this city. I just,
Well, it's specific for the needs of the city,
well, and,
for the size needed and so on, but it's not, I wouldn't call it a Cadillac thing. It's, really functional. It'll be an essential facility, so it will be the highest level of need for structurally, but I mean, we don't have high levels of finishes, and we're using the Department of Corrections for furniture, frankly, which is about half the price of buying it from Herman Miller.
That's some good input.
And that's our plan.
Yeah.
And they've got great looking furniture. It looks for all intent and purpose, just like any high-end, operation.
The needs that are in the current plan for the police station that we have been slimmed back for one. And then for two, have been talked about with the police extensively about what their needs are. And if we're going to build a new police station, what are the things we need? And we need, certain spaces for privacy with victims. And we need, places to store very, important investigative information that is being improperly stored. I mean, even ammunition at this point, like there are so many issues. It's like, I don't feel like this is a Cadillac. I feel like this is a Chevy.
I think what I was trying to
Do
get at
basic
was,
needs.
could we cut the building down a little bit? And get some of the, I've seen the plans, some of the back spaces off of it, but, just trying to,
We extensively went through those plans. It seems like there definitely is like, it seemed like it wasn't overdone, I suppose, just for like how they maximized the square feet. that-
originally we cut it in half
Yeah,
because
that's.
everybody's going down there.
The safety building.
Yeah.
And I also, not on the, obviously not an officer, but they're having, not like the administration and not everybody in the same building is probably not advantageous. Most likely for a police department as well. I can't recall if there was other locations that had separation. Maybe Acting Chief Hope can.
I was gonna say,
that-
he's been involved
that-
in this
that,
process.
that, had their, individuals, their departments separated. And again, that's not an advantageous thing for a department. So separating those probably not. a good option. I don't know if Acting Chief Hope has anything he wants to fill.
Yeah, that separation, I mean, that was never the idea. And part of why administration moved to Castor. We thought that that's where the building was going and we were gonna be able to kind of monitor it and have meetings with folks throughout the process. But that separation was never a long-term goal. In fact, when we were touring a bunch of newer police stations around the state, one of the ones we went to had 2 levels and they mainly talked about that, but yeah, there's the yes versus
Full
the.
court and all this other stuff in them, yeah.
Right, so yeah, the first renderings, it was municipal court, which greatly changes the parking. All of that, so when it was condensed, yes, it was, I think there was even a model of council chambers / mini court. A community room or something like that.
That's correct.
Yeah,
It was taken out, so the building
Yes.
has been squeezed to eliminate those functions.
right, some of the things that we found in tours of other stations that we liked were things like the emergency room right off of the front area where people could go in and lock themselves in if they're being chased. That's not a. I think it's important to remember if we're looking at square footage, it's not so much the benefit of the staff, although some of it certainly would be. But many of these things that weren't really willing to give up once it was pared down were, the soft interview rooms, which we don't have, and areas for the community that kind of distinguish it from an outdated facility to a more modern facility.
And I know when I first started, I was involved in some of these meetings where they're just kind of finishing up the designs of the pared back building. And I know then there was thoughts expressed that everything that could be cut out was now cut out, that everything left is vital. There are things that were needed.
I just recently toured the city of Forest Grove's police facility, and they're looking for a new bond also, and the lobby is probably sized for like 6 people. You could end up with a sexual assault victim in there reporting the crime and having the perpetrator in the same lobby at the same time. So, I mean, that's just completely ridiculous. So you've got to have a certain amount of space to make sure that things are safe and protected. That that area of refuge, we put into the city of Lake Oswego City Hall and police station. So that someone in danger can run there and run in and lock the doors. And it automatically sets an alarm off, so they've got a safe area of refuge there. So that's designed into this.
Well, and I remember us talking as well about like the Lincoln City had built a brand new police station and they outgrew it within 2 years or something. We don't want to spend all this money for 2 years down the road, not even being able to fit in it anymore. So we really got to be conscious about the needs and the growth of the city as well.
As far as the siting goes, I think this is the most important site there is, and I've been a proponent of that for years. And I think having an urban police station is very important to see the presence of the police. So I think the site's great. Fortunately, we have to make a decision now that we didn't start this, or I didn't anyway. I wasn't there, and you. So it's,
Could you bring up the slide of the sites?
I think also for me, I think that it's not necessarily fair to say that, that this is being presented backwards by trying to get, public comment, because the reality is this has been going on for a long time. There was ad hoc committees that chose this site and it hasn't been built. It's sitting here and trying to figure it out as council. I don't think that any of us has come to conclusive decision, and we all collectively agreed that we were at a place right now that now we have a site. We had the Joint Planning Commission meeting where we went through that exercise, and that we now are at the point where we're gonna have to make a decision. And I don't think that, I know for me that I don't necessarily, I'm definitely leaning in a direction, because I think that this is crazy that it's taken us 5 years and we're losing money on this, and we need to build one. But I don't think it's fair to say that this is backwards necessarily. I think there's been copious amounts of conversation pertaining to the police station.
We're asked to bring the site back up, this slide back up, because the number one site, if you can see there, that big number on the yellow line is Highway 30 number, but you all probably know where the site is, and this existing police station is number 2, but to enhance what Commissioner or Councilor Hubbard said, all the police are dispatching from that building, so there's a presence in town of all the police cars moving around. I mean, it's obvious that you've got, some constant assistance and presence there.
The other thing is we focused a lot down here on the waterfront, right? So this would revitalize the Holton district as well, having a nice building. We're encouraging tourism and people to come here. And when they come down Columbia Boulevard, they're seeing a nice police station. It kind of sets a precedence, right? That we value public safety.
I think you should also mention that the Columbia Boulevard site is not for sale currently, and you will be leasing it for a number of years. I think it's important that you bring that up, that property is not for sale, and you will not be buying it. You will be leasing it with an option to purchase it in the future.
You want to talk about that all? So we're in negotiation still.
Yeah, we're negotiating with the owner, and that is one of the scenarios. We've also considered an outright purchase as well.
I asked a question again. I believe you were stating that at the current site, you would need to buy the building next to it for parking. Was that what you said? But not actually for the building.
Correct.
And again.
And it just was purchased.
Right, but again, it's not Walmart and they have take-home vehicles. I'm not sure how big of a parking lot we would really need. They don't even utilize the back space right now. It's a tow yard. And then as far as the size go, I mean, substations, lots of cities have substations, and you would have, I've been in the community center, it's big. I don't know what, if you can bring it up to Twitter, that's not the issue. But there's storage there. Armories aren't huge. They're the size of very, very nice walk-in closet. And if we're not gonna own the land, plus there's probably a demo over there as well, correct? So there's a cost in that as well.
Yeah, the demo of the 1771 site is included in the price. As we added this site to this list of evaluation, we had to add the fact that we had to demo that.
We would own this land as well at Columbia.
Are there any parking requirements for this building that we're not thinking of as far as planning? Or, I mean, that we have considered?
The architect had, go to the slide, The architect has considered the parking needed there based on the code. And that's what they've come up with, and it involves, buying that other land or using it. That's the existing site.
Down one more, Chris.
Just there.
Right there.
So I know we don't own the far north one. Don't own all of the rest of it either, do we, John?
For the audience, if you can see the extension of the orange line out to the right, bring it all the way back to the left side of the site. That odd trapezoidal piece is the piece we're talking about. The building, as you can see, it's shaded in, light, everyone knows, it's driven by.
We don't own the one right under that either. do we?
We own this, John?
Jacob is very familiar with that, so.
Yeah, the ownership is a little wacky. And I can't remember. This is something that, and I don't know if. When they were recording deeds. Someone. Just didn't know what they were doing.
There's
when they-
something with the fire.
description. Yeah, there's some weird, and I don't remember exactly, but it's like. This is owned by the district and this is owned by the city, so there's a little bit of that cleanup. This was recently purchased by Northwest Plumbing, SAS. And just on the parking, I would mention in the Holton Business District here, abutting on-street parking does count. And there's a whole lot of street there for parking. I don't, it's been a while since we had these discussions. I don't know. I know we've talked about those rules with the consultants. I'm not sure how much the on-street parking was considered in this case for meeting the parking requirement. And it was,
It isn't secured parking for sure.
yeah, it's not secured. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
It's visitors.
And the upper parking lot was going to be secured? This one in question was slated to be a secure parking lot. It looks like public to me.
And we didn't get that far.
It says public parking on it.
Counselor,
That's just why I was thinking about
Scenario-
that.
Scenarios all changed with the purchase of that property.
I would think secure would be behind the building.
the site to the east and the site to the south are the candidates for secure. They're close to the building.
Which even if we eliminate this from the question and talk about on-street parking, there's still a considerable amount of dilemmas inside of this area, especially with not even knowing
Well, the
what
building,
we own.
building that's there has to be taken down, so we have to relocate. We have to change the design of the building, so we have to add another $500,000 to the cost of it, there. And the construction cost is still the same, it's actually higher.
Question, have we done any like environmental studies on the current police station? Is there asbestos in there that's gonna also impact or would impact demolition? I mean, that building's
That's
been.
not in my purview, but I don't doubt for a minute that there's asbestos in there in terms of asbestos mastic or ceiling tile.
That's gonna be another, that would be another cost.
What year was it built?
Both sides.
Built in the '70s, probably got lead paint.
That may be something.
Well, I mean, those are just things, those aren't Herculean problems.
As well.
Because any building, even the 1771 building has to have what we call hazmat study done to it. It's just a matter of how they're gonna bag it up and get it out of there before we tear the building down. So that's sort of parity with the 7071 site. It's that kind of interior stuff. Now, if there's a leaking water, oil tank or something there, I don't know about that. We haven't talked.
Things under the ground, which very well.
That is not the case at 7071. That's been studied and that's not the case.
You think it's a terrible idea to have a parking lot front facing Columbia Boulevard for the city as opposed to a front facing business? Yes.
That would be problematic with choosing this location too, right? Because then we would have to move the building. So what would be the point? It would
There's no,
be like starting in a green spot.
so it's that,
Why would you need a parking lot that big? That's a huge. I don't understand that. They don't even, their cars aren't even there. I mean, when they're on duty, I mean, unless we're gonna get rid of the take home program. I don't understand why you need a parking lot that large, and there's plenty of parking on the street.
On the 771 site, there's secured parking in the back though, correct?
And the building's forward facing.
Yes, it's on Columbia.
We need,
Here's a question about that site. How are they gonna get, like, they would have to go across traffic. Like right now, they can just get out and get in. They'd have to, like, wouldn't you have to do two stops or to get out? To get onto St. Helens Boulevard?
Could you bring up the 1771 site?
I mean, are we looking at a light or something?
I think it's probably gonna be coming out onto, I don't know the number name.
18.
Yeah, that's it.
18.
Yeah.
See,
And then there's a light there on Columbia right there.
Couldn't be a better spot.
in the upper left corner of the orange site. So come out, go to a light, take off or go south and, east on Cowlitz. Or come around on 17th and go right into Columbia.
But as far as our rules are concerned, Columbia Boulevard would be the last street that we would want a driveway approach on. Of all four of those, that would be the last.
That's why I didn't even bring it up. Because because it's so busy that you could come on 13th or 17th or Cowlitz. Depending on how our population and the topo. And the site does slope to the south. But then so does the lot, so. All commissioners and counselors voted for the 1771 site by 80 points out of 280.
Need any other?
And you said, John, that it came to the top of the list after 20 meetings,
Yeah, there was over 20 meetings with the evaluation committee and
all things considered. And it's central to town today.
There are no other questions or comments. All right, we will adjourn this public hearing at 6:43 PM.
I think it is.
I don't have an issue with that. Do you hit the button on top and just like,
Restart.
what do you have to restart? I never have to restart mine. Oh,
And I'm sure that the fence.
Last few days.
maybe you hard stop and hold it down for a long period of time and then restart it.
See more on the sites.
I don't have any issues, but I noticed you got a calendar on the top and I don't know. I noticed you had that and I don't have it. Sure, we'll just-
Certification.
Did we start? No, I didn't hear that. Sorry. All right, so we will start this council public hearing. It is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025, and the time now is 6:44 PM.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a legislative land use hearing. The subject of the hearing is a request for a zone change to change a portion of the property address as 1771 Columbia Boulevard, zone general commercial to Holton Business District, making the entire property Holton Business District. The applicant is the city of St. Helens. Because legislative proceedings require the observance of certain procedural formalities, we must take a few moments to cover some preliminary matters and required statements. So, does the council wish to declare, a potential or actual conflict of interest or bias in this matter?
It's the police station. For the record, I'm going to disclose a potential conflict of interest. My husband is a city of St. Helens police officer. I'm not biased and I'm confident that I can act objectively in the best interest of the city.
And are all the other councilors comfortable with that? Does anyone from the audience want to object to the ability of a councilor to make a fair decision?
Yes.
Yes.
So this would be your opportunity to state why.
Jennifer Massey not only has a husband, a police officer, she also is involved in a lawsuit with her acting police chief. In addition, the entire council through the city is also being in that same lawsuit. And so none of them are objective. And should not be making this decision. And of course, this also comes on to follow up my comments during the public hearing that, oh, the decision's not been made, but yet you're rezoning the land so you can build the station. Clearly, the decision has been made, so I object to the entire public process to act like, oh, we're just doing this for no reason. Of course you are. You've already made the decision before this happened, because you're asking for a rezone. So that again shows bias and dishonesty, frankly.
Mr. Preheim, you.
I believe the mayor should not be discussing this because there's a lawsuit against her for alleging this police officer and some other serious potential crimes. So it proves that she cannot be unbiased, even in a matter of the police department. And I also agree that she just sat up there and was dishonest right in front of us, saying that they hadn't made a decision, but you clearly have made the decision.
So it sounds like everybody's on the hot seat and the mayor's on the hot seat a couple times. So if there are challenges to a member of the council will have an opportunity to respond. And based on that discussion, the challenged counselor or mayor must decide if they're going to participate in the hearing. If the council does not concur with that decision regarding the participation, the council must deal the challenge by motion and vote. So basically, you have a chance to explain why. Well, you can voluntarily step down or explain why you would like to stay. And then we need council concurrence to affirm that person staying. And since everybody was challenged, we can go down the row. And I don't know if you just want to go from one side, or since the mayor was challenged a couple times, if you want to start, however you want to do it.
So first I'll say that accusations do not equate to facts and evidence, and that is what due diligence and due process is for. So that is why when you have been accused of something, that does not mean that you have been found guilty of anything. They're accusations at that point. The second thing is if logic would serve us correctly here, is that this is very much pro-police as far as building a building. And according to my attorney, it's not even a conflict of interest or potential because it doesn't have to deal with the finances. So I'm not really, I think it's more of a personal attack than actually being unbiased for something that was benefit to this city. So.
And does the council want to address each individual person or give your spiel and think about it all at once?
Just give her spiels and then we'll think about it all at once.
Okay. So who's speaking?
Next. I don't believe that this zone map amendment has anything to do with the current litigation, so I'm going to continue on.
Agree with that. And based on your report that you provided, saying that this, whether there's a police station there or not, that this would still be useful and needed, then I feel good proceeding.
Echo those two as well. I'm going to adopt those to my answers as stated.
Been an agreement where this is a zoning issue. It has nothing to do with what.
So I'm assuming based on the statements that you agree with each other's reasoning to stay on and there's not conflict with that.
Yes.
Thank you. Generally, the order of the proceedings will be as follows: required statements, which we're going through now, staff report, which I will do shortly, the applicant's presentation, city's the applicant, so it's the same as the staff report basically, and then testimony in favor, neutral, opposed, in rebuttal by the applicant, final questions, close of the record, deliberations, and decision. So following statements are required to be made at the commencement of the hearing. The standards for the decision by the council should be based on St. Helens Municipal Code 17.20.120. All testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed towards the applicable standards as described or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or other land use regulation which the person believes applies to the decision. So with that fun over, let's get to the more fun part and what we're talking about today. So the applicant is the city of St. Helens. And that's just like when the city initiated the original Holton Business District effort back in 2009. This is 1771 Columbia Boulevard site. And basically what we're wanting to do is change a portion of the site that's general commercial to Holton Business District, so it all matches, basically one zone for the property. And we'll look at some maps here pretty shortly to give you a visual example of that. A little bit of history. For a long time, this was the site for Portland General Electric. I believe they built the site for their needs. It's had a variety of uses since when PGE left many years ago. This was part of a greater zone change. And so why was a portion of this property left as general commercial? So if we go back to this effort back in 2008-9, the owner, Dan, who's still the owner now, testified that they were considering multifamily development on the property. And at that time, the zoning district prohibited dwellings on the first level. So it was a little more aggressive about residential uses. And the reason for that is the housing boom that preceded the Great Recession kind of freaked the planning commission out. And the freak out was before my time, so I just heard about it. But they were worried about residential development overtaking our commercial lands. And so there was a little bit more aggressive recipe for residential uses in the zoning district at the time. So why are we doing this now? The first and primary reason is the prohibition of ground level residential was removed from our zoning ordinance in 2015. So 10 years ago, we fixed the issue that the owner testified was the problem. And that's because we realized this was kind of dumb. This is just going to create blight in the Holton Business District. And not really what we want to do. And of course, the police station has been discussed. We're always juggling a lot of things. And this brought that issue kind of, up to the top as far as all the things we get to think about. I'm like, oh yeah, we should fix that issue. I think about as a kid, I wasn't a Boy Scout, but I was a Royal Ranger, which is more church related. It's like Boy Scouts, you just have more Bible study. And one of the importance I learned is when you go out into the wilderness, you want to keep it cleaner than when you shut up. If you find garbage, you take it out. And I kind of think, I always think about that in my job here. Ultimately, when I run off into the sunset, I hope that things are cleaner. And so this is one of those cases. It was kind of messy then. And like, I'd really like to clean it up. And that's the reason, that's the prime reason for approving this is we fixed the issue. It's a spot zone. And we'll talk about what a spot zone is. And in fact, the planning commission, when we talked about it, they expressed concern that this is the quintessential spot zone. And spot zones are kind of frowned upon in the zoning world. And so that is the principal reason for doing this. The secondary reason is the police station effort. Now, if the police station ended up going somewhere else, for the purposes of the zone change, that's okay. We are cleaning up a past issue. That's the primary reason. So spot zone, what is a spot zone? Spot zoning means the zoning of a lot or parcel of land to benefit an owner for use incompatible with surrounding uses and not for the purposes or effect of furthering the comprehensive plan. You could argue the 2009 decision by the council was political in a spot zone. It was a long time ago. But like I said, we fixed the issue. So the planning commission supports it. And The council should find that this proposal eliminates a spot zoning. That's an important finding that we suggest in your decision if you choose to approve it. So let's just look at this visually. This would be the first slide. Yeah. So this is the ordinance from that effort. And I highlighted the subject property here in yellow. And you can see it's like someone took a bite out of that. So if we go to the next one, this is just the surrounding zoning. You can see we have a whole lot of Holton Business District in that area and that little pocket of general commercial. So the subject property is there in the middle. We have a comprehensive map designation as well. It's less important, but the state always wants to see it, so we include that in here. It's all general commercial as far as the comprehensive plan. It just makes it slightly easier because we don't have to change the comprehensive plan. That's the main thing to get out of that. So that's the next map that we can look at quickly. Just so you know what it looked like, back in this effort, I kept this little torn up page of zoning map in the file. I'm like, wow, I get to use that again. And it just showed you kind of had this patchwork of mixed use and general commercial. And the idea was to create something more cohesive and something that honored the developed nature of the Holton area, just like the riverfront district that we have down here. So it had some of the same provisions, like abutting on-street parking does count towards your parking requirement. And when you have lots that are covered by more than 50% of a building, you don't have your off-street parking standard. So it had some of those similar flexibilities like we do down here. So it was a cleanup from that effort. And notice the subject property, was entirely in that proposal at the time. So I remember comparing, because the Riverfront District was adopted, and the Riverfront District had some of those prohibitions on first level residential, which kind of made sense because there wasn't a lot of single family dwellings. We do have, like the historic house over here, but historic buildings are exempt from that. And I remember when working on this, walking around, looking at the uses, the main thing to focus on here are the yellow colors. Those are single family dwellings. Thinking, man, there's a lot of single family dwellings here. And that was because they became non-conforming uses. Oh, sorry, the power's been turned off on the home for 6 months. You can't use it again. So that was going to create blight. And that's when we realized this is really just doesn't make sense. So that's why we fixed it in 2015. This is just the building on the property for fun. And then the other thing I provided in your packets, and if you go to the next page, these are the minutes from the city council decision. And this has the testimony from the owner, Mr. Wygant, at the time. And the key question I want to point out is here. If it was all changed to Holton Business District, he would not be able to build apartments on the first floor. He would be happy with being rezoned, but wants to be able to build apartments on the same as he can now under general commercial. And so the middle ground was to just change the lots that abutted Columbia Boulevard, at least for the corridor purposes, but then leave the rest. But he could put houses on each of the lot. He can build apartments now. It's all possible. So staff recommends approval for the principal reason of cleaning up that spot zone, which just happens to clean up the allowed uses, which makes the police station possible if ultimately the city decides to put it there. That concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Royal Ranger.
Thank you. Anything else on that? All right, well, we will adjourn that council public hearing at,
Public comment.
oh, it is?
Yeah.
We are? Oh, he normally takes that. Jacob, are you doing public comment?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Or rebuttal or something like that? Yeah, at least
Um,
you just reminded us.
Yeah.
I'm up here
just
just,
waiting
I'm just
for
trying to adjourn the
applause.
meeting.
I
I'm
felt
it's
like I
7
watched a
o'clock.
play or something.
So hard to- Yeah, it was good. Like sit down and do a bow.
Yeah, so anybody who wants to provide testimony in favor of this application, this will be your opportunity to speak. And we'll start with entry physical and then okay. I'm not seeing anybody in favor physically present. I'm guessing the hand up in Zoom land is. Oh, okay. So nobody in favor. Would anybody like to provide neutral testimony? You're not opposed, you're not in favor, you just want to provide general comment. Okay, the fun part. Who's opposed? If you're opposed, now is your time to make it.
Unopposed. For the exact reasons I've already stated, that this is a sham of this rezoning. We know why it's being rezoned. The city is doing it. Wayne Wagon is not a stupid man. If he wanted to rezone his property, he could do it. You're doing it. Put the police station there that you've already made a decision. And I object to the dishonesty and the deception. And you should just be honest and say, yeah, we're doing it. When you actually did say, we're doing it so we can put the police station there. So we know what you're doing and I don't appreciate it.
Anybody else physically present that would like to provide testimony in opposition? Okay. In Zoom land, we do have at least one. So Nick, if you'd like to speak, it is your chance.
Yeah, this is Nicholas Helmick, just kind of opposed to the whole situation. It kind of feels like our comment doesn't really have too much gravity to it, but I just want it to be known on the record that kind of opposed to this. I think there's a lot better options, and I'll wait till the next public comment to kind of speak on that. But just as for this, I am opposed to it.
Thank you, Nick. So we, as the applicant, would have a chance to rebut. You know, if I have much to say, I don't know, John, if you.
I don't think we can outdo your speech. I mean, it's wonderful.
I don't have a comment.
Any final questions that the council has before we close the public hearing? Seeing none, if you want to hit the gavel, close the hearing so we can move on, now would be the time.
Perfect. It is 7:04. We are going to close this council public hearing. No, I don't know where to go. You bang on the table. All right, today is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. The time is now 7:04. We are going to open this council regular session. And so if you could join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. We have no hometown heroes, so you have somebody, get those applications in because we would love to celebrate our hometown heroes. Now we are going to open it up for visitor comments. Now's the time for visitor comments. The visitor comment period is an essential part of local government meetings. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. Please keep it 3 minutes or less. The council, city council will take into input all consideration, however, in observance of the Oregon open meeting laws, this isn't the time for dialogue, but rather a time for us to listen to you, our city administrator and city recorder. Of action if needed, and we'll follow up with you. Please make sure you provided contact information on the sign-in sheet in the back of the room in case they need to get a hold of you to follow up. And with that, we'll ask for the first person to come up and state your name for the record.
My name is Kit Gardis. I'm a Columbia City resident, not St. Helens. And I have a letter that I wrote to the council, mayor. Okay. Yesterday, May the 6th, at approximately 3:30 in the afternoon, I could have been killed at the intersection of Gable Road and Highway 30. This is not the first close call that I've had at this intersection, but it frightened me enough to come and ask for your help. I was in my car, first in line in the left turn lane on Gable Road between Safeway and US Bank. It's only by sheer luck that I did not enter the intersection when the light turned green. A semi truck with trailer heading east on Highway 30 came into the intersection when the light was clearly red. He did not slow down. He was not slowing down. He came through at speed. Had I taken the turn a second earlier, I wouldn't be reading this to you tonight. And I'm still very shaken by the incident. I realize that the police department cannot monitor this dangerous intersection at all times. But given the number of near misses and accidents that occur at this spot, can't something be done? At the very least, could a traffic camera be installed to photograph the drivers endangering our lives and hold them accountable? In Portland and other cities, this technology has been effective for years in curbing the abuse of traffic rules and possibly preventing deaths. A camera could not possibly be as expensive as hiring another police officer. Thank you for your consideration.
Next person.
Brady Prime. First, I'd like to again express my concern for the selection for the chief of police. I think it's a corrupt process. I don't think any of you should be involved with it. I think that you are deliberately setting the situation up to not select Chief Hogue. And I think that it needs to be outsourced. And I'd like to know where that process is, because it's been multiple weeks since that is done and I haven't heard a single thing. And so I'm very concerned that you are working to enhance the lawsuit that's already been filed against you. Secondly, I do want to comment about the waterfront redevelopment. I have been reluctant to say anything about it because there's good things and there's bad things, but I am concerned about a number of cracks that are already in the pavement. There are multiple areas, and I don't know if this is a design problem, a construction problem, or a material problem, but these are improvements that are supposed to last decades. And literally it's been a couple of months and there are multiple areas where the pavement's cracked, where the bricks are cracked, where the devices around the lights at the bottom, whatever you want to call it, the topping is cracked. It's bad and it should be fixed. I also really am annoyed by the little black spot of asphalt in front of Lotus where they clearly screwed up and cut the concrete and just filled it with black. It looks like crap. Again, we are paying top dollar for this and now it looks like garbage. I also cannot believe that you put the fencing, the new guardrails up that are, looks like something that you rescued off the Titanic. The rusted look looks awful. Finally, the landscaping is ridiculously bad. I could do a better job of it myself. And I assume that you've only buried, half buried the plants because there's going to be some kind of mulch put over top of it, but they're ugly. And the railing should have been powder coated. I mean, it looks awful. Not only does it get on your clothes, I don't understand why we're putting a new railing that's all rusted. It looks really, really ugly. And the cracks need to be fixed. And if you need me to go spray paint orange all over the city, I can show you where they're at because there's a lot of them. And they're supposed to last decades, not 2 months.
Next public comment.
Jenny Gilbert, St. Helens resident. You guys, we watched in real time, you gaslight us today. And I just want to tell you that the masses are, they can see right through it. I don't know why you guys aren't aware of this, but the general public is not happy with you guys. And I think if you don't write your course, you're going to find out how unhappy they are with you. What you did today over the zoning with the police department is not okay. You already made a decision and you pretended to ask the public. I do not agree with putting that building on property we don't even own. I don't even understand the logic behind that. Additionally, we don't need a Taj Mahal because we can't afford officers. We're not even going to be able to hire them. There's going to be a lot of budget cut probably that's going to happen. So we need to get this building built and we need to crunch the numbers and find out if it's better to put it on where it already is. Property that we actually own. Yeah, we might have costs of redoing the plans again, but we don't have money. That's, you can't, you can't make money come out of nowhere. I also agree that you guys do not need to be in selection of the new police chief while there's a lawsuit that needs to be put on hold until that's all comes to a decision and a close. I do not agree with Jennifer Massey saying that accusations shouldn't be paid attention to. They absolutely should be. It is a definite conflict of interest her making any decisions on the police department beyond financial for her husband. She actually promised me that her husband would resign if any problems came out of the police department, and she hasn't even held up on that. I have that in writing. I just, guys, do better. I like you all. I think you're very wise. The public is not happy with you right now, and I've tried to warn you.
Public comment, please. Anybody online? Yes.
Hello, this is Nicholas Helmick, City of St. Helens. Hope you all having a great night. First thing I kind of wanted to bring up is the potential increase in the water bill. I used to work at Community Action Team, and you're going to be really causing a lot of senior citizens and vulnerable populations to have to make a decision whether they buy medication or food. That's a decision that you'll have to make. I suggest maybe seeing if we can put it on the property tax to make that a lighter impact on month-to-month struggles that people may have. I do want to quote Webster's dictionary, the definition of conflict of interest, a situation in which a person is in a position to derive personal benefit from actions or decisions made in their official capacity. I do respect you, Jennifer. I just do think that if we take a step back and look at things, me being a veteran, being in the Navy, perception is reality. I mean, the perception of the situation currently is that you will benefit from this police station. May not be you directly, but you're in a position to directly impact your husband in a positive way by your position of power. I just want to kind of go back to the water bill. My wife and I are dual income, and even with our decent income, it's still going to be some cutbacks for us as well. And we are by no means a struggling family or anything like that. So I think there needs to be a better way for this police station to be paid for. I understand wanting to have the police station on our own property, but if that's not possible, we have a big Rite Aid building that's been up for rent for a while. So I don't know what that would look like purchasing that building, if the cost would work out to be cheaper, more, or the same. I just think that we're kind of closed-minded in our approach of trying to keep purchasing more properties and spending more money when we're pretty dead broke when it comes to this. We're going to be out of our reserves, and we're just spending money like it's not ours. And it really, it's not your money, so it's easier for, I guess, the council to make that decision to spend money constantly. I understand also wanting to attract tourism and attract investors. So you all have a very big decision to make that's going to impact every single citizen, especially our senior citizens and the most vulnerable people in our community. And I hope you make the right decision. Thank you.
Online? Okay, so we will move into number one on our list, which is, and hopefully I have the most, John, I don't think I have that up here. Hold on. Wait, is that all the same with this? This one, why is yours highlighted? Okay, let me know if I get off here. So the number one is zone map amendment, ZA .1.25, the change portion of property for 1771 Columbia Boulevard from general commercial GC to Holton Business District HBD, make entire property HBD. And again, just as I said in the last one, for the record, disclose of potential conflict of interest. My husband's a St. Helens City police officer. I'm not biased and I'm confident that I can act objectively in the best interest of the city. Now, for deliberations for number one. Counselor Sunday.
I don't, most of the information that I got came from Jacob's report. I thought it was very well done. I think regardless of whether a police station goes there or not, this is something that probably should have happened, like you said, to clean things up. Yes, if the police station goes there, this will need to happen anyway. But if it doesn't, it's not like it's a bad thing. Just reading the owner's comments back from 2009 about wanting to make apartments and do all these things there. That's a long time ago and it hasn't happened. So I think let's get it cleaned up. Let's make it fit the surrounding areas. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think we have, initiatives in the city to give some attention to the Holton Business District. So whether or not police station goes there or not, we have, a lot of plans to try to help that area and see some of improvements. So I think this is a step in that direction.
I had a little note here on this zoning allows a broader range of residential uses in the GC, including detached single family homes, duplexes. So this broadens the development of opportunities rather than restricting them. So the planning commission and the staff found no adverse effects to doing this. And so, no, that's kind of how I feel about it. I didn't see that there was anything that was a negative about doing it. Maybe except for RV stuff. Potentially.
Yes, that's the one thing that would be prohibited, our RV.
Right, so I picked that out of that. That was the one negative aspect. Otherwise, it seems to allow more fruitful opportunities going forward, more of a diverse opportunity to change this and the housekeeping aspect. Counselor Hubbard?
The Holton District's a real gem. It needs to be rounded like Jacob has done, and he does this all over town. It's nothing new. So I'm glad to see it done for whatever use it is. It's actually going to be more valuable after it changes. So I'm in favor.
Any other comments on it? All right, anybody want to make a motion? Do we need a motion? Do we need a motion on this, Jacob?
Yeah, we need a motion, and if it's approved, then we would bring an ordinance back for ordinance adoption.
I'll make a motion to approve zone map amendment ZA 125 to change portion of the property at 1771 Columbia Boulevard from general commercial to Holton Business District and make the entire property HBD.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion second. Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Council President Chilton.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard. And I'm aye as well. Ordinance on to the first reading. Somebody wants to read this lengthy thing? For ordinance number 3308.
No one else has that. You're the only one who has that.
Am I the only one that has this? All right. Guess we are reading this, correct?
She has the full
Okay,
thing that she.
So it's ordinance number 3308, an ordinance adopting the economic opportunities analysis, stormwater master plan, wastewater master plan, and the water master plan as addendums to the St. Helens Comprehensive Plan and amending the St. Helens Municipal Code chapters 1908, 1924, and adding chapters 1938, 1940, and 1924 too. All
In
right,
the packet, do we need to read it? Is that normal?
Oh, was that what you were talking about?
you have the same one I have,
Yeah,
right?
it's, yeah, it's,
There was an updated agenda.
I thought you were talking about reading this.
Yeah, don't we have to read this?
You don't have to read the whole ordinance out loud.
Oh, thank goodness.
That's what she was talking.
Yeah, I was like,
I was like,
okay, I'll read it, but I don't know mock
She was
speed.
trying to get me to read it. I'm like, I don't have it.
I'm gonna go mock speed. Okay, so we can just do a motion and approve it because it was in the packet. I've already read it. Yes,
That's what you did is fine. Yes.
Okay.
sorry, that's
I'll
my,
make a motion to approve ordinance number 3308 as read.
that's the first reading.
Oh, okay.
it's
So
first
does
reading,
it,
so we don't.
we don't need to do anything. Okay.
Okay, so first reading, we're not doing anything. All right, got it. Thank you for getting us straight over there, Crystal.
One
And
of the reasons we'd read it first is so that you don't have to read the whole thing. If it was an emergency ordinance implementing, we would have to read the whole thing public again. Sometimes they're.
thank you for the clarification. Did not want to have to read the whole thing. Okay, so we'll move on to number 3, the award bid contracts. And number 3 is award bid and authorize mayor to sign contract with Pillar Associates for Reservoir Sitting Study Project number W-484.
Making motion to award bid or contract to authorize the mayor to sign contract with Keller Associates for reservoir siting study.
All right, we have a motion and second. Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Council President Chilton.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Number 4. Award bid and authorize mayor to sign contract with TFT Construction for Gable Road Rectangular Rapid Flashing Beacon, RRFB installation project number R-721 in the amount of $42,190.
I move we award bid and authorize the mayor to sign the contract as read.
Second.
All right, we have a motion second. Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Counselor President Chilton.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard. I'm an aye as well. All right, so moving on to approve and authorize for signature. Number 5, city council minutes dated April 14th, 2025. Number 6, amendment to number 2 contract, financing contract with Oregon Business Development Department for the for the waterfront redevelopment project. Number 7, amendment number 3 to agreement with OTAC CPM for public safety building construction project management. Number 8, letter of support on behalf of RSG Telecom for broadband equity access and deployment, BEAD, grant program for the Columbia County led broadband project. 9, letter of engagement with CDR Labor Law LLC for legal services related to labor and employment law. And number 10, contract with Grayling Engineers for the Belton Sewer Step System Capacity Study number S-685.
You were missing one.
Which one? What one?
10 and 11 are off.
Oh, they are?
9 was the,
Come on, John.
yeah, that was the discrepancy. And I laid out the agenda was the.
Okay, so we had 8, 9, letter of support on behalf of Astound
You were
Broadband.
missing that.
Yeah, number 9, well, I'll just remedy these numbers real quick. 5 through 8 were correct. 9, letter of support on behalf of Astound Broadband and Broadband Equity Access and Deployment BEAD Grant Program. And then 10, contract. Yes, contract with Grayling Engineers for Belton Sewer.
And I have letter of engagement.
I don't have a 10 on mine. Okay, can I just have your paper? Because I don't have what you guys have here. 10, letter of engagement was, thank you. So 9 was right. 10, letter of engagement with CDR Labor Law LLC for legal services related to labor and employment law. And number 11, contract with Grayling Engineers for Belton Sewer Step System Capacity Studies project number S-685. I didn't think we were gonna get that. I had just,
Yeah, take it, please.
yes, please.
I move we approve and or authorize for signature items 5 through 11 as read.
Second,
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Counselor Sundin.
is there any discussion?
Oh, discussion?
Yeah, discussion on.
It looked like you did.
Okay, thank you.
Something there.
I thought it was gonna be Belton. Okay.
I just still have heartburn on Belton.
Oh, it was
It is Belton.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's Belton. $200,000 for seeing if we can hook up 3 possible lots. Which normally in a situation like that, a lot of contractors have to pay for that to hook up. Maybe the city doesn't know what they have. I didn't think engineering would take that much to do it. Sharon has said no, that they don't have the capability of doing it, but I just think at this point in time, $200,000 is save. There.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was already like, it wasn't coming from anywhere. It was already a part of their budget. Is that correct, John, or something along those lines?
Engineering has the resources to do the study.
What a concept to actually have a budget and have some at the end of the year. You could put it to the next year. What about that?
Rolling it over? I mean, is that a possibility, John?
It's within your authority to delay it, sure.
Okay.
I mean, if I can be proven that it's so desperate needed, is that something, I didn't, said they don't have the software to do it. That would cost 15,000.
What do you think, Brendan?
If it's not urgent, I'm okay with putting it off for a while. Sharon's been here, twice, talking about the need for it, but
Karen's hand is raised. She's online if you want. Do you have any questions for her?
Sharon, do you want to comment?
There she goes.
Oh, can you hear me now? Oh,
Yep.
okay, great. I just want to just make sure that this is for the signing of the contract, and Grayling's cost when we did the scoping meeting with them 2 weeks ago, it's well under $200,000. So I don't know the number off the top of my head. It should be in the contract, but I believe it's about $170,000 to do this work. I just wanted to clarify that.
Can you also clarify, is this a time of the essence situation?
Or can we do it later?
We can do it later. We're probably going to pay a lot more for it. And like I said before, this is we have the opportunity to do it now. We have the budget to do it. And I think that's all I can say about it at this point in time.
The existing services, are they compromised at all if you didn't do anything?
This isn't about the existing services. This is about being able to make the decision when new development comes into that area. And like I said, we've been asked about it before, and being able to actually tell them whether or not they can and cannot connect. So right now, the way it is that we don't have the information. We need to make that decision. And so the decision will have to be that, no, you cannot connect. And it'll have to be that until we actually know what we have going on with this system that's really unknown to us.
When's the last time somebody asked or inquired the need to connect to the system?
I want to say it's about 1.5 to 2 years ago. If Jacob is still in the room, he might remember, because I think I worked on it with him. But I want to say it's 1.5 to 2 years, possibly.
With that inquiry?
So yeah, I can speak on this. So it came up when there was a land partition proposed on a larger property on that road. So someone purchased a property, they wanted to divide it in order to build a new home. And so at that time, what we did is, okay, we weren't too sure of the capacity, and so we wanted the applicant's engineer to attest to the ability of the system to be able to accommodate another household. And I remember at that time, Sue Nelson, who was the city engineer, she may have been public works director, I can't remember that timeline, but in any case, I do recall her being concerned about that we really didn't have a foundation to be able to confirm the information that was being presented to us. And really that was kind of the beginning of this, oh man, Belton Road Terrace, that's where we started scratching our head, just because of that unknown. So I think their goal is for things to be more known, so we have that information should we be presented with that again in the future. And Sharon, please correct me if I misspoke.
So I want to go back to that really quick. So when their engineer was attesting, right, we were required to do that. We didn't have any information, if what I'm hearing you is correct, that to come back and say we either concur or just, disagree with you based on don't know what our system is. So what did you do in that situation? Like,
So the best we could do was, well, a professional looked at it, I guess it's right. For the purpose at that time.
How many lots could potentially be developed there? I mean, how many houses could go there?
I know there's another undeveloped lot. So that's one, and then there's a larger lot kind of in the middle. Now it's complicated because you have a big wetland here, a big wetland here. But maybe 3, 4 total. And I'm kind of shooting from the hip a bit. But there are constraints that would probably make a greater density subdivision impractical.
The only questions I have. I'm ready to make a decision about it.
all right. So we had a motion and a second. Counselor Sundin,
For all of them?
That's what the motion is for right now, yeah.
Aye.
Council President Shelton. Nay. Counselor Hubbard.
This is just, did you say this
For
is for
all of them
This
right
is for
now.
all of them right now.
all of them?
All of them. Every single one. With the right number from 5 to 11.
I'd have to say nay.
I'm an A as well, so shall we reread this? Okay.
Sorry. Or did you say nay or did you abstain?
You said nay.
Nay.
Nay, okay.
That was 3 nays.
So let's, why don't we try this? Let's split these each out. How about that? Can we do that? Okay, so, can we approve and authorize for signature number 5?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion to approve items 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 as read.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Counselor Cindy.
Aye.
Council President Choi.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard. And I'm an aye as well. Right, somebody wants to do a motion for 11.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve number 11 as read.
Second.
Okay, motion second, Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Council President Chilton.
Nay.
Counselor Hubbard.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be a nay as well for right now. I'd like to see this come back. When after the budget.
I'm sorry, Sharon. I appreciate you. But not the best time.
Okay, appointments to city boards and commissions, number 12. Appoint Aaron Wielden to the library board, and I was on that interview. Does anybody have any?
Motion to appoint Aaron Wielden to the library board.
I'll second. All right, we have a motion second. Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Council President Chilton.
Aye.
Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Consent agenda for acceptance, number 13, library board minutes dated March 10th, 2025. And number 14, library board special meeting minutes dated March 10th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items 13 and 14.
Second.
Okay, motion second, Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Council President Chilton. Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
And I as well. Consent agenda for approval, number 15, accounts payable bill list.
Your turn, Russ.
I'll make a motion, Russ. Number 15.
15, accounts payable list. A motion.
Approve it? Okay. Yeah, I'll second. Okay, got a motion. We got a second. Counselor Sundin.
Aye.
Council President Chilton. Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. All right, work session items. The only thing I had two items on here. One was just to reconfirm on the public comment that we are going to, as a council or city administrator, give notice to Dawn to direct for any clarification on public comments or information. And Crystal will be direction through. I don't think we need to make a motion on it. I think just a general consensus that we're doing that.
Yeah.
And then also some of the additional items that we would like our goals as council individually or collectively, that we can add those to the other business if they, come up and encourage to do so at the regular council meetings. I think that's a general consensus as well. We already have the place for that, correct? We're good on general consensus with that, John? Okay, and then the only other thing was the Armani Center. So we had that second presentation, the first time that they came in. We had the talking points that were provided, and we really weren't given any type of request on what monetary value that they were looking for or what they were looking for. And so we had a second presentation today and came in at approximately 99,658 for several different things on options for development, SDCs, permits, permit, reviews, etc. And did a great presentation on putting the information together. And so it's up for us to discuss now to see if there's anything that we potentially would like to do as council in regards to helping the Amani Center.
Well, this has been a really tough one for me because I truly feel a lot of gratitude for the Amani Center and the programs that they hold for the community, the community partnerships. And they're such a valued member of St. Helens, but I just don't feel like we can make any accommodations at this time. We are just really strapped with the city, and we have to be conservative right now, and we have to make sure that every single dollar that we spend is truly accounted for, because we are looking at making some huge cuts in this city. And it pains me to say that, it truly does, but it's just not a good time.
I think it's too bad we can't just waive those because other cities can do that at some point in time. But they're feeling the pain just like a contractor does. So it's across the board, the costs. We can't cut the city out of any funds for we need to come up with. My only possible answer is that if you want to make a policy on SDC system development charges, and then across the board also with everybody, you could bancroft those, which is pay them off in time. And that's legally can be done in Oregon. If that was one avenue that could be looked at, I'm not sure that it reduces the revenue, but you still get it down the road.
Councilor Sunday?
Yeah, I echo what's been said. I think it's a great resource, do a lot of great things in the community for those that need it the most. And just again, not the best timing. I would ask maybe we could look at it again after budget season and see if there's any change. But I do agree with Mr. Hosky's comments earlier that I think a policy overall on how we handle these kind of requests would be helpful to have.
So I'm curious, I mean, obviously, I made it in, comments earlier today, like the Amani Center just is heartbreaking. I mean, just the amount of kids that in this community that they see is just horrendous. And I know there's a lot of really fantastic organizations that are looking to, you know, help people, whether it's, you know, the senior center, but I just look at these littles as some of the most vulnerable that we have in this community, and it's just sad. I'm not in favor of doing anything with SDCs, and I mean, if we even had a policy, I mean, I like your way of thinking of outside the box as some type of deferment. I don't think any type of full waiver is fiscally prudent, but I'm also curious need to do any type of partial reduction or deferral on permits or review to help them at all, that it's not applying to the SDCs. I mean, if we could do something that can demonstrate without impacting our SDCs that have to come for something else, that, I don't know, is there a possibility of anything like that? Or a deferral or, I mean, I know we need the money too, clearly.
As far as the SDCs go, there is a state law that says that cities have to require payment plans for SDCs. And that may not be much relief for this project,
But outside of SDCs.
outside of SDCs.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, building permits, you know, those are within the council's discretion. There are going to be some hard costs related to that as far as third-party contractors. They review structural things of that nature.
A hard one.
I mean, I still feel the same. I just feel like it's not a good time. I don't feel like we could make accommodations right now and then a month later, cut our library program.
Yeah, I agree.
Possibly. Like, it just is not, I'm gonna stick with where I'm at with that.
How does the council feel about even just deferring this request and keeping it in a parking lot? And then after things shake out and the budget's done, if we end up selling surplus property and we're in a better position financially, that we could agree to come back and look at if there's any opportunities to help here.
She did say today that she's been waiting for us to give her an answer because they need to move forward on some of their things. So I think that the best thing to do for now would to tell her to move forward with what she's doing and then come back to us down the line instead of her waiting around for us to possibly make a decision to help, and just being upfront and honest with her about where we're at and telling her that it's just not a good time and maybe coming back in the future.
That was one of the first costs, though, so that's what he's trying to get.
Well, I know, and that's why I'm saying it's better than, I don't want to keep kicking the can down the road with her, thinking that we might be able to
No.
help or we might not. We should be upfront about it and, so that
Agree
they can
with that.
pursue other
I
options.
agree with that. She's at a stopgap right now.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with that piece, but I also don't want this just because it is so part of the waste. And I'm looking at Jacob. Like, you got any ideas over there? What was what was it?
What was it again?
What were you-
Royal Ranger.
Royal Ranger. Yeah, exactly. You have any suggestions?
On how to provide them relief.
Anything
relief?
you can come that wouldn't be severely, wouldn't really be impactful to the city.
Not offhand. Cause you're dealing with building fees and SCCs. I really don't get involved in building fees. So it's out of my wheelhouse a little bit.
So maybe we make the motion to say no, and then we agree to ask them to come back after things get sorted out and see if there's anything we could potentially do.
Yeah, and I know there's been talk about, they've been trying to find different ways creatively to raise money. And so I think, connecting them with Treadway for some volunteer opportunities during our big tourism events where they can generate some of that revenue, where I think that would be also something that we could do to help them.
I love that. Good idea. All right. Do we need to make a motion on that?
So, do we? I don't think so.
think so. It was just discussing. Okay. All right.
See how we always look at Kathy?
I know. Yeah, we look at Kathy. Crystal, you're doing a great job, Crystal. All right. So that's all I had for work session items. Did I miss anything? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Council member reports. Counselor Sundin?
I don't have a lot tonight. I do want to offer my condolences to Dave Elder's family. I think Dave was a great guy and happy I had the opportunities to rub shoulders with him a little bit. Also want to recognize Lisa and Kathy this week for Municipal Clerks Week and thank them for all the good work they do and holding the place together. Do want to address a couple of Mr. Freeheim's comments. So you missed our work session today, Brady. Wasn't the same without you. May 29th is when the police candidate interviews will be taking place for the chief. So I think John mentioned that in his report today. Also regarding the police station, I'm still firm in the belief that we need a new police station. And I can't speak for everybody else, but I can speak for myself that I am not sold on the Columbia Boulevard site. It's, I still have concerns with it. Out of the sites we're talking about now, maybe it is the best option, but no, I'm not 100% sold on that. I'm not convinced that everything's going to work out and it's going to be a great location. But again, I'm firm in the belief that we do need a police station, and I'm firm in the belief that we need to get moving on it and acting on it because again, the idea that the public hasn't been involved in this process, this has been a process that's been going on for 5+ years. And there has been public forums. Tonight we had a public forum and we had 3-4 people here. So there has been many opportunities for the public to be involved in the process, including the committee years ago, and keep coming back to this site. So again, I'm still not convinced that that's the best spot, but I think we need a station and I think we need to get moving on it. So I hope we can come to a reasonable solution, but I think that's all I got tonight.
Tonight, huh?
Not tonight.
Dang it. I was so looking forward to that too. Council President Chilton.
I wanted to give a shout out to St. Helens Girls Softball League. They have been around for a long time. At one point, I was on their board and I've coached kiddos on that team, and my kids play for them. And I know Counselor Sundin's kids play, and it's really wonderful when you drive down to Boise and you see the cars lined up and the kids and the families everywhere, and you drive by Campbell and the lights are on. And I just have a special place in my heart for softball. So I wanted to give them a little shout out. This year they have 18 teams, 221 kids signed up. And so that's a lot of families in St. Helens. And so it's really amazing to see a program like that really touches so many different families sitting there. I wish I could walk around to every single person with a microphone asking them what they think about the police station. Cause I'm like, they're all here right now. Come on, give me your input. But it's just great to see them out there enjoying the parks. And St. Helens Girls Softball has really been taking care of those Boise fields. They do all the maintenance. They have been there for years taking care of those fields and really giving it a place for, kids to play sports. So I wanted to give them a shout out for that. I also wanted to put a plug in because one of their storage sheds at the Boise Fields was recently broken into, and a lot of their equipment was stolen. So they have been selling some St. Helens Girls Softball swag at their concession stands at Boise and Campbell. So I want to, give a plug for if you want to do something to help out with that program and trying to replace some of that equipment that was stolen. That's something that you can do. And then lastly, I wanted to welcome a couple of new businesses to St. Helens, Glazed and Confused. They were at the Lodge Food Carts in Scappoose, and they've recently acquired a brick and mortar in St. Helens. So I want to welcome them to the city of St. Helens. They have some really great donuts, and I'm looking forward to them opening up and coming by in the morning and grabbing a couple donuts on my way to work. So I'm looking forward to that. And then Northwest Plumbing and Sass at Home. They have been around for a long time, but they've kind of been on the outskirts. So now they're coming within the city, and they have so much in the works to beautify that building and just bring a lot of life to that area. So I'm super excited about that. And I just want to welcome them both to the city of St. Helens.
Howard.
Glad to see the police station moving forward, but it's been a hard one. I've been on it for trying to get this thing for years. I was on the siting committee that picked the site on Columbia Boulevard that we're going for now. And then I don't know what happened within the politics and government because I wasn't involved. But it went away and spent a lot of money on time on things, so I want to see it happen. Money's always an issue with any kind of development. And I think we have to go at it sensibly and hear from the contractor, closer figure, feel good about that. And then figure out how we're gonna get it done. And then as far as Brady saying that he knew everything we were doing, well, I guess that's the definition of transparency. So there you go.
Right. So I just want to always thank staff. So, Lisa and Kathy's not here today. But Crystal, you've done a great job managing today. So we super appreciate that and always appreciate Kathy as well as, all of our city staff that makes the city run. They do a lot every single day. Was able to have lunch on the day that facilitated the Take Your Child to Work Day, which Crystal did a fantastic job as well. Counselor President Chilton participated in that, and seeing those kids here and the excitement that they had to go to
Future of our city.
yeah, to go to the, look at all the different aspects of the city and the little effort or the effort that was put into engaging with the children was pretty awesome to see. I also want to give a shout out to Suzanne, the library board director. She's just done a phenomenal job in her communication. Like she is on point and letting everybody know what's as far as, the board members and what's going on in the library. And it's just a huge shout out to her. 'Cause she spends a lot of time on making sure that she's very, very articulate in what's going on. I do have a couple things that I kind of want to look at is the RV that is on Old Portland Road or Port Avenue, excuse me, that is now a complete shambles of it's like, I think it's on private property. I don't know, but it is.
On the port property.
I think it might be, I'm not exactly sure. I had Onyx out there, but if it's ours, we should be looking at like something. It's a safety hazard. You see, I walk by it every day. People are in it. There was obviously a fire. Now it's in bad shape and it doesn't. If we have any jurisdiction at all, we should try to remedy it because it's not a good situation over there.
It is on private property.
It is, yeah. It's on private property. So I don't know if we can encourage the landowner or the broker to do something about it, but it's certainly not a good look there. Also, we had a public comment today about Gable and Highway 30. And, I hope I don't know what we have to look into that intersection. I mean, obviously, I have a serious issue with that as well. I was seriously injured and my car was totaled in that intersection on that flashing yellow. There are a lot of accidents there and I've heard from, multiple officers about, the fact that light is potentially unsafe. I think we had an officer that left that was on some type of traffic study or something, but it just seems like if there's something that can be done with that light, I mean, it's just a horrible.
Highway though, right?
Yeah, I don't know if we have any jurisdiction over anything, or if we have any feedback, but hearing that tonight and she's obviously shaken up and I just went through that. I still haven't been able to run since that. So that was January 24th. So it's a bad intersection in my mind. So I don't know if we can do anything, but we probably should look at it. I'm also excited about the flashing beacon crosswalk over, if you didn't listen to the work session, that's going to go by Walmart so pedestrians can safely cross, not be in jeopardy of potentially being hit. So otherwise, we had a full agenda today and I loved all the dialogue and the work through all the progress that we're making here. So that's all I have. So we will adjourn this meeting.
Can I add, one thing, because Beth Polito was watching your discussion and she did provide feedback back to the council. So if I can just read it to you really quick. This is Beth Polito from the Imani Center and I appreciate the conversation. I look forward to continuing the conversation and sharing how we're doing as we move ahead. I did go ahead and pay our permit fee today. and we're working toward advancing the project. Thank you, Mayor Massey and.
Perfect. Okay. All right. With that, we'll adjourn the meeting.